Clock struck midnight Friday. It was just this surprise Instagram post by Beyoncé. 14 songs, 17 videos available all at once on iTunes.
On December 13th, 2013, fans opened iTunes and found something unexpected. A full Beyoncé album appeared without warning. No teaser, no single, no marketing countdown. The release shocked the industry. Executives woke up to headlines showing an album that was already climbing global charts while they were still trying to confirm what had happened. Listeners rushed to the visual tracks, and social media erupted within minutes. Reporters called it a historic move because no major artist had ever attempted an unannounced release at that scale. The impact was immediate. The album sold hundreds of thousands of copies in one day and forced labels to rethink their strategies. But this moment was not actually an improvisation. It was the result of Beyoncé's years of planning and a strong desire to control her work. That moment revealed just how far she had come and the level of independence she had earned.
I'm making mistakes and I'm learning from them, and I'm not afraid to make a mistake. I embrace mistakes. They make you who you are. I've never been afraid to fall, and I say all these things, but now I'm getting tested.
Beyoncé's rise may look effortless from the outside, but nothing about her journey was automatic. She started as a young performer with big ambition and a clear sense that the music industry could lift her up to great heights. Little did she know that she was stepping into a world where success required more than talent. It required control. It required awareness of contracts, ownership, and the hidden power structures that determined who thrived and who faded. In this video, we will explore how she figured that out. We will look at the early lessons that shaped her mindset, the business moves that protected her work, and the long climb that turned her into one of the most influential figures in entertainment. Before we go deeper, make sure to subscribe. Here, we break down the stories behind Black achievement and the paths that lead to real ownership. If you enjoy content that reveals how power is built and protected in our culture, then you're in the right place. Now, let's get into how Beyoncé turned talent into a billion-dollar empire of ownership and influence.
As far back as I can remember, I was a performer, a singer, and a dancer. But now that I'm older, there are things that I want to say in my art. Sometimes we don't reach for the stars. Sometimes we are satisfied with what people tell us we're supposed to be satisfied with, and I'm just not going for it.
Beyoncé Giselle Knowles grew up in Houston, Texas. Her talent appeared early, but her path was not as simple as discovering a gift and stepping onto a stage. She was born in 1981. Her parents raised her in a home that valued effort and routine, and they understood the realities that Black performers faced in the entertainment world. Opportunities existed, but they were uneven. Expectations were high, and the industry often held narrow ideas about who deserved attention. Her talent surfaced during childhood, when her dance teacher noticed that she could hold notes with unusual control. Her parents enrolled her in vocal lessons soon after, and that decision set her path in motion. Her first major confidence boost came when she won a school talent show with a performance of John Lennon's Imagine. The reaction she received pushed her forward, yet she also noticed how adults reacted with surprise. It was a reminder of the way society often undervalued Black children's abilities unless they exceeded expectations. In the early 90s, she joined Girls' Time, a group formed with other Black girls from Houston who shared the same ambition. This became her first real experience with building a team. They rehearsed in living rooms, garages, and any space they could use because consistent rehearsal time was not easy to secure. They pushed themselves hard because they knew opportunities for young Black girl groups were limited, and they needed to be exceptional to get noticed. Their biggest early break came when they performed on Star Search, one of the largest talent shows on television. They expected it to be the moment that launched them forward. Sadly, they lost. The defeat was very difficult for her, not only because it hurt emotionally, but because it made Beyoncé realize something important. Skill alone could not control outcomes. Public reaction could shift in ways she could not predict, and a single performance could affect how the industry viewed a new act. Beyoncé's father, Matthew Knowles, saw the potential in the group and understood the obstacles ahead. He knew that young Black girl groups faced an uphill climb in an industry dominated by gatekeepers. He left his corporate job to manage them full-time because he believed preparation would help them survive situations where they would not receive the benefit of the doubt.
Tough, is he
Yeah,
tough?
he's tough.
Is he?
Absolutely. And that's not to say that he's mean or cruel. He's just tough. He's a tough businessman, and that's okay.
Matthew developed a demanding rehearsal structure that covered vocals, stamina, and stage presence. Beyoncé learned that success depended on the work done long before anyone watched. The group's lineup changed several times as they tried to find members who could keep up with the pace. As members changed, Beyoncé witnessed how delicate a group could become. She also saw her father negotiate and push back against decisions that could harm the group's future. By the time Destiny's Child formed out of the original group, Beyoncé had already spent years practicing, studying, and adapting. At a young age, she already understood the pressure, the discipline, and the challenges tied to being a Black girl entering a competitive field. The foundation built in Houston became the reason she could move forward with confidence later in her career. But Destiny's Child introduced a new stage of learning. It was the moment where childhood training met the realities of a billion-dollar industry.
Destiny's Child is like the Survivor Series. We're trying to see which member is going to end up the last on the island, which one is going to get voted off. It was actually cute, and it inspired me to write a song.
Destiny's Child signed with Columbia Records in the mid-90s. The opportunity was enormous, but it also placed the group under pressure that none of them had encountered before. Their debut album performed well, and No, No, No launched them into national visibility. Success brought attention, yet it also created expectations they had to meet repeatedly. Rehearsals intensified. Promotional schedules grew longer. The label wanted consistency because the pop landscape moved quickly and new acts appeared every year. Inside the group, tension began to develop. As the management structure became more demanding, Latavia Robertson and LaToya Luckett questioned management. They believed Matthew Knowles favored Beyoncé and Kelly Rowland. They asked for new representation that could address their concerns. The request led to conflict, and the label introduced new members before the situation was resolved. Robertson and Luckett later filed a lawsuit citing unequal treatment and lack of transparency. Their departure became headline material, and the group entered a period where every move was scrutinized. Farrah Franklin joined during that transition, but left after a few months. She explained that the workload was overwhelming. Her exit added more headlines to a story the media had already shaped as chaotic. Beyoncé watched the coverage closely. She saw how disagreements inside the group were transformed into narratives that the public consumed without knowing the full context. These challenges unfolded in an industry where Black girl groups often faced harsher framing. Media outlets sometimes portrayed their conflicts as proof that the group's structure could not hold. Conversations about colorism also surfaced during this period. Critics and fans debated how the industry promoted lighter-skinned members in Black groups, which placed Beyoncé inside a larger discussion about how executives marketed artists. She did not start these conversations, but she witnessed how deeply appearance influenced opportunity in mainstream pop. The combination of lawsuits, public speculation, and industry bias taught her that success required more than musical ability. It depended on fair management, steady teamwork, and awareness of how outsiders interpreted every shift inside the group. She also saw that labels valued stability over talent. Any sign of uncertainty could affect touring plans, radio support, or marketing investment. These experiences shaped her understanding of leadership and showed her how fragile momentum could be. She began to think about what it would take to build a career that relied on intention rather than luck or chance. The lessons she learned during this period of her life prepared her for the responsibilities that came with her solo career, where control would matter even more.
And singing. What do a solo album when you are part of one of the world's most successful female groups?
Because I'm still a part of the world's successful female group, and I've been in the group, all of us, since I was 9 years old. That's 11 years. And we all have something to say individually. We all have a beautiful talent individually. We support each other, we love each other. And we put out 5 albums in 4 years, so we need a break from Destiny's Child.
When Destiny's Child entered the early 2000s, Beyoncé began exploring opportunities outside the group. The timing mattered because the industry was changing. Artists who understood business gained an edge, and Beyoncé recognized that her next stage required more than musical development. She needed control over her image and the choices that shaped her career. Around this same period, she and Sean Carter, known as Jay-Z, began seeing each other privately. Public confirmation came later, but records show their connection started in the early 2000s. The relationship placed her in a new spotlight. She learned quickly how the media handled celebrity couples, especially black ones. Every appearance triggered speculation, and every song fueled commentary. This attention gave her a clearer view of how public narratives formed, and how easily personal life could overshadow professional work if she did not manage it carefully. Her first major step into a broader entertainment world came through acting. She appeared in projects such as Carmen, a hip-hop opera in 2001, and Austin Powers in Goldmember in 2002. These roles introduced her to film contracts, licensing rules, and studio promotion strategies. She observed how companies built campaigns around specific scenes, outfits, and personalities. The experience taught her that ownership extended beyond music. It affected imagery, branding, and the way audiences interpreted her identity. When she released Dangerously in Love in 2003, she approached the album with planning that reflected everything she had absorbed. She co-wrote many songs, which gave her publishing rights. She studied how producers were credited and how royalties traveled through different channels. Crazy in Love became a global breakthrough, and the album earned major Grammy recognition. But the real shift took place behind the scenes. She began surrounding herself with collaborators who understood the value of long-term artistic protection. During this period, she also discovered how labels shaped an artist's visibility. Release dates, marketing budgets, and distribution choices held enormous influence. Beyoncé took note of how executives balanced their priorities and how artists lost leverage when they lacked ownership. She responded by increasing her involvement in visuals, choreography, and touring. She did not want her work filtered through decisions made without her input. These years marked the moment Beyoncé stopped being shaped by the industry and started shaping her own path inside it. The solo shift was not only about stepping away from a group, it was the beginning of a career built on intention, knowledge, and a determination to understand every part of the machine she was entering. That mindset led her toward one of the most important decisions of her career. She needed an institution of her own. In 2008, Beyoncé founded Parkwood Entertainment. The decision marked a turning point. She had seen how labels shaped artist careers and how often black women had limited influence over marketing, budgets, and creative approval. Parkwood began as a small production house for her films and music videos, yet it quickly grew into the core of her entire operation. The company allowed her to choose directors, hire teams, and oversee every creative decision without waiting for a label to sign off. Parkwood existed to support her vision, not to adjust it. The shift was noticeable when she began working on her 2011 album called 4. She selected producers and writers who respected her direction and pushed for an approach that leaned into live instrumentation. Still, the label questioned some of her choices because the sound differed from radio trends at the time. 4 leaned heavily into soul, R&B, and live arrangements, while the charts were dominated by electronic pop and dance music. Executives wanted songs with faster tempos and more commercial production. They pushed for tracks that matched what other major artists were releasing because those songs were easier to market. Beyoncé refused to adjust the album to fit those expectations. She chose ballads that highlighted her voice. She insisted on keeping songs like 1+1 and I Miss You, which did not follow the formula labels preferred during that era. She also removed songs she felt did not fit the emotional tone she wanted, even if they were considered more marketable. What followed was a quiet but significant standoff. Columbia Records expected a radio-friendly project. Beyoncé wanted a record shaped by her priorities instead of trends. She continued recording until she reached a version of the album that represented her intentions. Parkwood backed her decisions, which gave her the confidence to move forward without compromising. It also shielded her from the biases that had followed her earlier acting work, when critics focused more on her appearance than her performance. With Parkwood, she could shape her image without relying on people who underestimated the range of Black women in entertainment. Visual albums became the clearest example of how her company transformed her creative process. Beyoncé's 2013 self-titled album required secrecy and coordination across many teams. Parkwood managed everything from editing rooms to choreographers. The release strategy, which involved dropping the album without promotion, was possible only because she controlled the timeline. It showed how ownership let her challenge industry practices that rarely made space for Black women to experiment at large scales. By building a company that matched the strength of the institutions around her, Beyoncé reached a point where she was no longer reacting to the music industry. She was directing her own orbit. Parkwood Entertainment allowed her to protect her work, structure her decisions, and maintain authority over every project that carried her name. This foundation became essential as her influence began extending far beyond music. The clearest example arrived in 2016 with her project called Lemonade.
Your reaction, first of all, to this visual album by Beyoncé, what did you think?
I'm so emotional right now. I feel that Beyoncé took us on this emotional journey, everything from infidelity to sadness to redemption. She touches on so many topics, and for a superstar who's notoriously private, she's given us so much to unearth, so many winks and nods and nuance. I think we're going to be talking about this album for a very long time.
Beyoncé used the project to explore themes related to loyalty, trust, and emotional repair. The public linked the narrative to her marriage because of events that took place years earlier. In 2014, surveillance footage leaked, showing Solange confronting Jay-Z in an elevator after the Met Gala. The incident generated intense speculation about infidelity. Beyoncé did not offer explanations at the time, but the film portion of Lemonade used storytelling, symbolism, and music to process pain, reconciliation, and generational patterns. Jay-Z later addressed his own role in their struggles in his 2017 album 444, explaining that he had gone through therapy and worked to repair the marriage. Both artists later collaborated on their joint album, Everything Is Love, in 2018, which signaled that the relationship had reached a more stable and cooperative place. They also continued touring together, raising their children publicly as a unified family. Beyond her marriage, Lemonade opened important conversations about how Black women are represented. The project confronted stereotypes that framed Black women as either unbreakable or unforgiving. It offered a fuller emotional range that mainstream media rarely allowed. The album debuted alongside a film that used imagery rooted in Southern Black culture, African spirituality, and Black womanhood. Her 2018 Coachella performance reinforced this power. The show celebrated historically Black college and university traditions through a large marching band, step sequences, and staging modeled after campus culture. The production required months of rehearsal and coordination with hundreds of performers. The industry had rarely placed Black cultural heritage at the center of a major festival stage, and Beyoncé's leadership turned the performance into a historic event. The documentary called Homecoming detailed the physical and creative work behind the show. It also documented her recovery from a difficult pregnancy, which added context to the scale of her achievement. During this period, Beyoncé faced several public challenges tied to race and gender. She received fewer Grammy wins in the top categories than her critical impact suggested. Album of the Year continued to elude her, even when major releases such as Lemonade and Beyoncé were considered groundbreaking. Critics, journalists, and fellow artists pointed out that the Recording Academy had a long record of undervaluing the contributions of Black women. These discussions did not begin with Beyoncé, but her experiences made the pattern more visible. She also became a frequent target of unfounded accusations related to choreography and concept ideas. Many claims lacked evidence, and some were dismissed publicly. Nonetheless, the frequency of these accusations revealed how often Black women in creative fields are challenged in ways their white counterparts are not. Beyoncé did not respond directly to most claims. Instead, she continued building projects where documentation, credits, and ownership were tightly organized through Parkwood. This level of structure reduced the ability of outside voices to rewrite her process. Her business work advanced alongside her creative projects. She formed partnerships that included equity positions rather than short-term endorsements. Her Ivy Park collaboration gave her control over design choices, marketing, and manufacturing decisions. Her involvement in Tidal reflected her interest in streaming economics and artist compensation. These projects grew from her belief that ownership was necessary for long-term security, especially for Black artists who often faced obstacles in traditional corporate spaces. Younger performers now study her model because it shows how influence develops when an artist builds systems that protect their voice. Beyoncé proved that creative freedom requires business awareness, reliable infrastructure, and the courage to make decisions that challenge industry norms. Her empire did not appear through one breakthrough. It grew from the early lessons she learned in Houston, the pressure she endured in Destiny's Child, the strategy behind her solo rise, and the creation of Parkwood Entertainment as a home for everything she envisioned. Today, her work shapes music, film, fashion, and cultural conversation because she built a path where her voice cannot be reduced or controlled by others. Her influence now stands as one of the strongest examples of what happens when a Black woman gains ownership in an industry that once limited her options. Now that you've seen how she built her empire, what part of Beyoncé's journey stands out to you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you want more stories that break down the strategies, struggles, and triumphs behind Black success, make sure to subscribe to Black Wealth Uncut. This is where we study the moves that build power, the lessons that protect it, and the history that explains why it matters. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.